Yo, what up guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing you my full healer UI with all the import codes that I've been working on for a while. This right here is the Yeti healer UI. It's not really a name or whatever. It's just a healer UI that I've been using for a very long time. As a healer main in WoW, I mostly do Mythic rating and Mythic Plus. Everything here is going to be free, basically. You guys can go ahead and copy this and, change the UI in your own way or share it after as well. That's completely fine. And I'll go add-on by add-on, show you how that add-on works, where to import the code, and for some rare cases, I'll also show you the settings I'm using because some add-ons do not have a way to import the profiles. All right, so before we get started, we need to make sure that the stuff on the Blizzard's end are done correctly. So I'm going to give you my edit code import code. So you go escape, edit mode right here. This is something you need a code for. You'll go into my Discord, Yeti's Dungeon, into the Yeti UI healer down here at the bottom, and you will get the rentry.co code. This will open some sort of a website that is just code like this, and you will copy this string right here. Also, the reason I'm not linking specific stuff in the description, I'm giving you my Discord instead, is because I can just update stuff on Discord, and then you guys always get the most up-to-date working version of the UI, because some things will probably still change in the future, right? We're still waiting for 11.2 to come out. Anyways, you will import the code right here, and that will give you my preset. And just before I say anything else, edit mode will give you Lua errors if you are using shadowed unit frames, the second add-on we will talk about. You need to make sure to either turn off snap to elements or turn off shadowed unit frames if you want to customize things on your own. All right, so for unit frames, we are using the shadowed unit frames add-on. I'm using this for player, target, boss frames, and focus as well. The add-on is just super good, gives you the right information. And the way you import it is you go into, I think you need to turn on advanced under general, go into layout manager, and then import the code. Again, you will find this on Discord as well, right here in the Shadow Unit Frames import. This works for all versions of WoW as well. Now, the next add-on on our list is actually responsible for all the bars right here and for hiding bars right here. It's called Dominos. The problem with Dominos is that it does not actually have a shareable code, but it is the best action bar add-on in terms of performance and stuff. It's just so much better than Bartender in my experience and when I was doing my own testing. So I would really encourage you to get this. Now, this is sadly an add-on that I cannot share you, the import code. I will just show you that generally speaking, what I do is I have bars right here with my own keybinds, alerts, and then, yeah, this is just, you will have to replicate this. I will find a way to share it on my Discord at some point, but this is sadly an add-on you will have to do yourself. So, by the way, just to give you an idea what I do is I have action bars 2 and 5 here. And for these two action bars, I do not have any sort of bindings. These are just empty bars, and I drag the spells with cooldowns on. While action bars 1, 6, 12, 3, and 4 are normal bars that I made fade out. So these are bars right here. These are my keybinds. Of course, you can see when I'm riptiding, that's where I'm pressing, but this is moving here as well. By the way, this is a better way to track cooldowns without weak auras with a smaller performance impact. But then, of course, I don't want to track these two bars at the same time. So what I do is I go action bar 1, I right-click it, I do fading, and I drop it all the way to 0. This is a way to add bars to your own UI and make them fade out, and also use them as a way to track cooldowns on the middle of your screen. Now, I do want to move on to probably the most important add-on of this whole video for healers. It's called Grid 2. So Grid 2 is my healer frame add-on. It's this right here, where you can see when I'm riptiding, you can see the tracking. Again, if I'm getting overhealed, this is absorb bar that goes above 100%. Healing over time, defensive usage like that. It also obviously shows the debuffs that you have on yourself. So Grid 2 is an add-on you will download, and then after that, you will go into profiles and then import my Grid 2 code that I have uploaded onto the Discord as well. And I actually have a dedicated video for Grid 2, and if you guys want to see more of that, I can go in depth and explain how everything works. Right now, Grid 2 is working properly for Shaman, Druid, Paladin, Priest, and Monk. But I will probably keep building on this with time. If you guys will request enough, I will make sure to revisit every single class next patch as well. It is my favorite add-on ever. And just to make sure you see how this add-on is going to look in 20 mode, if I go right here, so Yeti 20 mode, like that. By the way, you don't have to do anything like this. This add-on is already going to change the height and the width depending on how big of a group you're in. So this is going to be in 20-man mode, and as you can see, I made the healer bar right, or the cast bar be right there at the bottom, and the target frame 1 pixel away. Just try to make it, look very clean and stuff. And then, of course, in 25-man mode, I can just really quickly show you how it's going to look like. I made sure that everything is, you know, staying consistent and kind of in the same, like, height. So your cast bar is never being overwritten by other stuff. And yeah, this is just a really good add-on for healers. And I think mine serves as a very, very good basis for every single healer UI. All right, so next add-on I'll talk about is weak auras. As you can see right here, I'm missing a buff. And when I popped it on myself, you know, so now I have water shields on me as a shaman. That went away. And now you can see there's a 2 here. You might be wondering, what is that? So what I have is I have Tidebringer stacks right here. And for example, when I'm also using Tidal Waves, that adds another stack, right? And if I'm chain healing, I'm consuming these. I have made weak auras for multiple classes. They're mostly using pre-made weak auras that come with, you know, the program. When you do new aura and you go into pre-made, you get something like that already. And yeah, just very simple stuff. I do share all of the ones that I made with my community. And just to give you a very, very big note, the most important thing you can get next patch is you will go to wago.io, like that, and you will find the new raid here. So right now it still says Liberation of Undermine, but soon it's going to say Manaforge Omega. You'll go in here, click this, and after that, what you're going to get is Liquid's weak auras, or Northern Sky, or Kausesi. These are the 3 I would recommend. So you go in here, and then you know you have the War Within Raid 2. When you copy this and import it into the game, you will have every single important debuff popping up, and it's the biggest competitive advantage ever. This is obviously not something I include in my pack, but I recommend everyone to use. So the add-on I use for damage and healing meters is called Details right here. If I go into test, again, just the same gray, dark gray color that I use for most of my UI with class colored names. You'll go under profiles, import the code, import the profile right here, and pop that in. Really good add-on. You're probably using it already. And if you want a profile that is matching with the rest of my UI, you can find it on Discord as well. Now, my favorite nameplate add-on used to be Play There Forever, but I realized that I like less customization, cleaner stuff, and just straight out of the box, a working nameplate UI, nameplate add-on. So what I'm using is something called KUI Nameplates. Really good add-on. I think it's visually the best nameplate add-on ever. It has one small problem though, the fact that you cannot share profiles by code. So I'm just gonna go through every single button here, every single section of the settings, so you can just make sure to copy what I have to have the exact same, you know, size of nameplates as me with the same style. So yeah, you notice I'm using the same textures everywhere. I'm using solid, and for fonts, I'm using Fritz Quadrana, which is the built-in font with WoW, and I actually replace it in Windows. I'll show you that at the end of the video. Now, I do use an add-on called BigWigs for all the stuff related to boss mods. Right here, the most default boss mod add-on I think most people are using nowadays. BigWigs for raids, LittleWigs for dungeons. You can customize everything. I don't really think you need my import code. I'll still share it on Discord, but basically what I do is I just make sure to mute everything. Everything here is none, except BigWigs spell under you when I'm standing in something, and that's the only thing I care about. Everything else is pretty much set to default. I'm using even the default style. I only think I probably changed the color of the background. That's it. You don't need to actually do anything. So yeah, you can get the code as well if you want. So another add-on I'm using for quite a lot of things is called Leatrix Plus. I would obviously recommend this add-on to every single person. Again, no import codes for this one. I just want to show you what I'm doing. I use it to automate quests and gossip, sell junk. For social, I just have all of the stuff right here for auto invite. For chat, you can see right here, I hide the chat buttons. The font sizes, I make it so that I have the same one. Hide portrait numbers. This doesn't actually do anything with shadow unit frames. Then I do actually enhance my minimap. I make the cluster scale 80. And then these are the things I check. This might be another thing you have to watch out for if your import code looks a little bit different with, you know, the previously mentioned WoW edit mode. And then my tooltip, again, a little bit smaller, 90% scale, everything else the same. And then dress up, again, this is just only for transmogging. Now for the widget top, I do make it a little bit smaller, place it aside like that, and then control 75% size as well. I do hide the talking head frame, and I hide the order hall bar on top. And that's it. System right here, max camera zoom. A lot of add-ons already do that. Faster auto loot and faster movie skip. This is what I use with Leatrix. Very good add-on. Even if you don't want to have all of these add-ons here, I would highly recommend this because you saw it changes my mini map. It automates stuff. It's a really, really good add-on that everybody should probably use. So an add-on that I actually had to turn on now because I do not use it in Mythic Plus, I only use it in Raid, is called Method Raid Tools. So what MRT does is two very, very important things. First of all, it shows the raid cooldowns right here. So there we go. I pop the, the totem, it's right there, and it goes on cooldown. And if I pop Link, it's right there, Link is active, and then it's gonna go on cooldown as well. And you can track every cooldown of your fellow healers, is what I would recommend for healers to do. If you're pugging, of course, if you're playing in pre-made raid environment, you will have them assigned. That's what I use MRT for, Method Raid Tools. The second thing is Note, right? If I go here and I enable my Note, you will see all of this stuff. And this are assignments from when to use certain healing cooldowns. On my kill POV videos, people are always asking me, Yeti, how are you getting a call out of like, wings in 8, 9? So it's a combination of two things. First, you need MRT, so Method Raid Tools nodes, to be properly set up. And then you need a weak aura that is reading it out. It's called K's MRT timers. You can find this on Wago as well. Wago.io. I'll link this in the chat probably or in the description. Or you can just look for K's MRT timers. If you have these two set up together, they will also call out and read out your cooldowns and when to use them. But it does take a lot of time to customize this. So if you're in a Mythic high-end guild, you're probably already doing this and you are very home to this. But if you're like in an up-and-coming guild, it might be worth checking out. So yeah, that's the Method Raid Tools that I'm using. So the next add-on I would recommend is called Omni CD, Omni Cooldown basically, I think is what it stands for. And it's an add-on that shows party cooldowns under, or, you can customize this differently, to the side of your party frames. And, for example, this guy's a paladin here. These are NPCs, so they don't have all the cooldowns. You can also enable the potion to be here. Very good for healers, so you can see when certain things are on cooldown. For example, Yeti Bean right here, use this the cooldown, use the dwarf racial, stuff like that. Sadly, my HP is full, so you can't see me health pot or try to health pot there, but you can track all of this. And it's really good to see what was up at a certain time for your team when you're pulling a boss or pulling a big pack. And if your hunter has nothing ready, then you need to keep in mind that he needs to be kept up. So this is also an add-on that a lot of you guys in Mythic Plus use the interrupt bar. Sadly, again, because I'm in the NPC pre-made group, this is the only interrupt you can see right here. But yeah, it's going to put all the interrupts of your team here on the right side as well. So right under the target of target, I just slammed these as well. And this is going to work to track and know when somebody should be kicking the next spell. So for bags, I just use Baganator. I used just very simple. I just downloaded it. I just made sure to use, where is it? The layout, single bag. And then the theme, I used dark and I just made it square icons. That's what I did. I think it's the best looking one. I think I might have made the icons a little bit smaller as well. And that's pretty much everything. I just made sure to show all the settings there in case you guys want to copy it. But amazing bag add-on. Shows your gold across all characters if you hold tab. Also shows you, like, for example, oh, I have 207 foods right now actually on all these other characters, right? So I probably don't need to go on auction house and buy more. And this is more relevant for like other things that you might have to track on other people. I don't know, there's the Valor Stones I have, how many dinars I have, right? Because Baganator also comes with an add-on called Syndicator that keeps track of everything across all characters. And I think it also does for resources, if I'm not mistaken, right? So if I go into coffer keys, oh yeah, there we go, perfect. It shows on all characters as well. So that's the bag add-on I'm using. Another add-on I would recommend using is called Advanced Interface Options right here. It's an add-on that allows you to basically bring back some of these settings that were... Some of them were previously also available in just normal options from WoW when you go in escape options, and some of them were actually never available. But this add-on basically just gives you, just advanced interface options basically. So that's what I'm using under general right here. I think disabling Lua arrows was really good, and ability toggle as well. Everything else is pretty much default, I think. You can change your lag tolerance right here. I do recommend using this on 400. And then floating combat status, yeah, stuff like that. And then CVAR browser is the best part, right? When you want to change something specific and you do not have an add-on that's doing it, like for example, nameplate, you just have stuff, right? Like nameplate size and overlap. There's like a lot of stuff, but I wouldn't really recommend you to play around with this if you're a basic player. Just use the basic settings right here, and I do think it's a very good add-on that will even give you some competitive advantage, right? Like, for example, in the past, if you guys remember, I was toggling the titles and git titles off to keep names as clean as possible. That was pretty good. And then you can make them also bigger in the interface, but that's for a different video. All right, now the add-on that makes everything look pretty. So I'm using an add-on called Masque that you guys might know already. I did /masque to get into settings right there. I'm using Masque Raeili Square Edge. I set this on here under global, and then I also do enable backdrop. So, you know, for example, if I remove that away, you can see it has a square, like a black square that is, you know, pointing something's missing there. It just looks clean. Now this add-on it has different presets. You can get different profiles online. This is just the one I like the most and works with my UI and works with my weak auras. But what you need to make sure is to disable weak auras, Masque for weak auras, right? So you go into settings, and under global, you set the one you want, and then you go into weak auras and you disable it, right? Because weak auras, you can already skin them in the program pretty easily. And if you use Masque for weak auras, it's going to be very, very laggy. So I would really recommend you to not use this. But as you can see, I also have something called Blizzard buffs here. So I use another add-on called Masque Blizzard buffs, which allows me to also mask the top right here. So everything looks clean. But the way I make my weak auras look good, right? For example, let me just pop this here. So if I pop my healing rain here, you might think, oh, this icon looks exactly like this. What I do is I just, you know, zoom on to every icon by 30%. And I also add, so I zoom by 30% right here, and I add a border all the way, right after the background. I add a border of 0 offset, size 1, full black. And that's how you can basically make everything look really clean and really matching. So another add-on that you should be using is called Mythic Dungeon Tools. What this add-on does is it adds maps into your M+ kind of, you know, how do I say this, library. So you can easily set stuff up. You can learn routes. You can use Radar.io and import stuff in here. I don't want to go too much into detail because it's one of the most advanced add-ons that you know, you should probably be using, but you can import stuff right here, and then it's going to tell you what route to go, and it's going to calculate you stuff. And this is how we refer to different packs, right? For example, you know, this right here is like the count of the mobs and stuff like that. Again, I don't want to go too much into detail right now, but it's another add-on I am using, and you should probably be using yourself. So the next add-on on our list is called the Mythic Plus Timer. Don't worry about this overlap here. As I said, I only use that in Raid anyways. The Mythic Plus Timer is an add-on that shows the count of the, like, which dungeon you're doing and the timer in the most basic and simple way possible. You can obviously move it around. You can scale it, stuff like that. And it's going to show you the exact count of the pool that you currently have. You can see here it says plus 3.25%, right? So that way you're going to know exactly how much you've been pulling. And if the current pack you have on you is going to finish it up, that's going to be the 100% count, things of that sort, right? Shows the timers of boss 1, 2, 3. Just visually my favorite way ever of any M+ timer. And the add-on is insanely lightweight and doesn't really have many options. Just download it, just put it where you want to, do whatever you want with it. This one, again, has no import code, but I would still really recommend this add-on. Now, the last add-on I want to talk about is called the Simple Add-on Manager. And it's an add-on manager add-on that basically allows you to create profiles for certain, you know, activities, right? So, for example, I have profiles for Mythic Plus and profiles for Open World and profiles for Raid. And these two are the most important, Raid and M+. So M+, obviously, there's only 5 players on the map. There's, you know, a lot of AI, but generally speaking, the FPS is pretty good in M+, right? So you need to make sure to use add-ons like, you know, Dominos, Omni CD, Mythic Dungeon Tools, you know, just pretty much everything, right? But you can remove stuff that you don't need in Raid, right? Like, for example, the Method Raid tools, right? You do not need stuff like that in Mythic Plus. But in Raid, on the other hand, it's very good to disable stuff like Radar.io, the Mythic Plus Timer, Mythic Dungeon Tools, Omni CD, capping, you know, that's for PvP. You just want to disable as many add-ons as possible for Raid while your game looks as good as it usually does and performs how it usually does. Like, you have all the trackers and stuff on, right? And this way you're going to make sure your FPS in Raid is much better. And since I've been using this add-on, like, I'm not kidding, my performance in Raid has been so much better in terms of frames per second. And again, I really recommend this, and it's really good, right? And of course, you know, you just have a better way to sort stuff, right? Like peak CPU, average CPU, current CPU, right? You can just see what is using the most, right? Yeah, of course, right now, Simple Addon Manager is using a lot because it's open, it's tracking everything, right? But this way you can track what are the add-ons that are using the most, right? Like, for example, if we go into, I don't know, what is the highest encounter? Yeah, weak cores and KUI nameplates. That's okay because I kind of need those two, right? And then shadow unit frames is using average of 0.08% with a peak CPU of 0.4 basically. So again, my add-ons are pretty optimized at this point. And now I gotta show you guys one last thing, and it's how to replace all of the fonts. As you saw, I have every single font in the game exactly looking the same. I'm using a font called Expressway, and you will go onto Discord right here, Yeti Healer UI, just find the font section, download the font. Of course, you should trust me because I am, legitimate. And once you download this, you will get the fonts.zip file right here. And of course, you can buy WinRAR if you want. And you will get just this fonts thing here. Inside fonts are these 4 TTF files. And what you're going to do is actually just take the fonts, and put it into the version of the game you're playing. So for example, retail, you will probably not have this there, so we can remove that. So your game, your root of retail should look like this, and you will take fonts and you will drop it right in here. And what that's going to do actually is, so if you go in here, it's going to replace all of these. So Arial, Narrow, Fritz, Quadrata, whatever, Morpheus, and Scurry. I don't know, these are just the short versions of the fonts that the game is using. It will replace all of them with the exact same file. So Expressway bold, right? It's going to use all of them. So in game, if you're calling for any of these fonts, you're going to actually end up just getting Expressway. And that's what I do. I call for this Fritz QT, whatever it is in full name, for every single add-on, and it just ends up calling this. And the best part is, if you ever want to replace your font, you'll just go online, get a file of a font you like in either TTF or I think it's OTF one, exactly. Don't know exactly, but TTF always worked for me. And you will make 4 versions, call them exactly these 4 names, put them in here, and they will replace all of your fonts in WoW as well. And that's how I make sure to keep it as clean as possible. So yeah, that was the last part. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe if you want more, and join the Discord if you got any questions. Peace out.